Welcome to the Make Love Easy podcast, where we help successful professional men achieve the power, love, sex, intimacy, dates, and relationships that they most desire through putting them in front of some of the best in the world. And I have today a great honor, privilege, and pleasure. One of my good friends who I've known for it's like 7 years or more, an internationally renowned Tantra teacher and expert, who I like to refer to as the Mountain of Love, because that's what he is. He's a little tall. Scottio, welcome.
Hey, Lewis. Thanks for inviting me for your show. Good to be here.
Super honored to have you. So tell us your story. How did you become an expert in sex, intimacy, Tantra, relationships?
Well, I guess like a lot of people, I first started with being really bad at it, like that's what inspired me to really improve. So, I mean, I don't know where you want to start. Like when I first asked a girl out in middle school, I was a little nervous and she like laughed at me, and the whole hall of all the kids laughed at me. So like I was terrified to ask women out, from the get-go. To me years before asking another woman out. I was a virgin until I was 23. One of my first sexual experiences, I was a premature ejaculator, and without getting too long into the story, she was really upset, and she took off and never saw me again, and it was a pretty shameful experience. And so I really kind of figured out, man, I have to figure out how to keep a girlfriend, find one, keep one. And so I really decided to go into training for my true love. And I was a pretty conservative, straight-laced dude. Not so much now, but and so it took the shame of like really having these shameful experiences to inspire me to stretch outside my comfort zone enough to explore Tantra. Tantra was really my gateway into really figuring out how to connect more deeply with people. And it really is the practice of connection, the art of connection. And so let's see. Tantra is the practice of movement, sound, mindfulness, touch, sexual energy, and breath to really raise one's consciousness and connection, and both within themselves, others, and with the divine. And it's like, and there's lots of different types of Tantra. I can talk about Tantra for a while, but for me, Tantra is really the practice of embodied love. It's really the art of connection. And so and that's really, I think I don't know, there's a secret. The key to me finding love and maintaining great relationships is really just going deeply into connecting with other people. Yeah.
And how did you encounter Tantra? Like, I'd love for you to go as cosmic and as crazy as possible in the stories you tell here, by the way, because totally
be careful what you wish for. Yeah, so I mean, I was a corporate workaholic, working at Nestle and doing 80 to 100 hours a week. I was managing Friskies cat food and the bags and the boxes. Anyway, and then I heard rumors from a friend of mine that you could have orgasms without ejaculating. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I've never heard such a thing. That's got to be BS. And then I went to this Tantra thing in LA, and it was like a workshop, and they were basically saying, they were doing things like talking about chakras. I'm going, what the heck is a chakra? Like, I didn't learn that biology. It must not exist. They were doing this wiggling thing, which I later learned are kriyas, where energy's like moving through your body, and I thought they were like just wiggling. I thought they were trying to con me, really. I didn't really understand any of it. But
again, for our viewers, every time Scottio's camera moves, that's because he's doing a kriya. I'm just kidding.
now I kriya quite a bit. So yeah, and it basically was just some basic, simple practices that I started incorporating into my life. And then about 15 years ago, 16, I guess now, I found a partner, my wife at the time, that really could meet my energy. And then we were able to create this energy circuit. And, you can do everything I teach by yourself and whatnot. It's just more fun with a partner, and accelerates things when you can, build an energetic circuit. And so then our love life and then our entire life just started getting better and better like every month. And it continues to do so, which is pretty extraordinary. And I know that sounds like a crazy claim, but I've got dozens, if not hundreds of students that will say the same. And we basically would started teaching because after a few years of playing with each other, our friends would be like, what are you doing? Like, how do you have such a good relationship? Or we're a little bit of exhibitionists. It's not necessarily what I teach, but we were like flip side, and people would see us being romantic, intimate with each other, and they would go like, what is that? Because now I'm doing Kriyas and I'm like, wiggling and shaking. Should I call an ambulance? Is he having a seizure? And they're like, no, it's good. I'm enjoying it. And then like, well, what is that? That's not normal. Like, tell me what that is. And so we started teaching after my friends bugged this for about a year. And then it was so fun. And we started seeing the impact it was making on our friends that we just started doing it more and more. It became our full-time gig. And now it's all we do. And that's all I do. So I've been teaching, Tantra for about 15 years. I'd say maybe 14 years full-time. And it's extraordinary. And now we have one of the largest Tantra communities in the United States, North America, actually. And it's a beautiful, amazing world. And so to answer your other question, like what happens or what are the, like, so I've had so many experiences of the divine that I don't even really need faith. Like I didn't really even believe really in God until I started having these visceral experiences, because once you really tap in to like internally my connected and then to other people, and then it goes kind of broad, you start feeling your connection to the universe. And I mean, I can do things like with the right person, experience or even have orgasms with people from across the room without touching. I can connect and talk to trees and feel their energy. I've had experiences of past lives where me and other people remember each other from past lives. I've had orgasms with lightning bolts and the earth, in groups. It's like I've experienced it. I know it sounds crazy, and I wouldn't even believe what I'm experiencing now a few years ago. So it's really like kind of the gift that keeps on giving, and it's like almost like an exponential growth when you do this stuff, and it really gets crazy and cosmic. But fundamentally, when I first started, it just helped me decrease stress, give me more energy, help me be happier. Really focusing on my mindset, my neurological system. So, and I'll tell you this so what it does is that you train your brain. So mindfulness is like you pay attention to what you're aware of. And so you're coming through the filter of your brain dictates the quality of your experience. And so that's one part. Two is you're changing your actual physiology. You're actually learning how to take your neural network and like your pleasure pathways and your joy and orgasm, and you're turning those into superhighways. So it's easier to access. You're able to move more energy through your body. And then like your pain and suffering, you're kind of like forgetting about that or processing that to get out of your body to make those in the dirt highways. You're surrounding yourself with high vibe, fun, people that are open-minded and support you in your greatness. And then you're actually using the power of sexual energy to manifest miracles in your life. So this quadfecta is what enables your life to get better and better and better. And I don't see the end in sight, because we're all growing and changing with an infinite number of possibilities. So I'll stop there. So I'll keep going.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. It's so efficient too. Like you're a master star genius, because like I mean that the information content just in the past 5 minutes, it's so rich. So what would you say for a man who's at an early level of his journey? Maybe he's dealing with awkwardness, maybe he's a premature ejaculator, maybe he just doesn't have crazy menage a trois adventures and he would like to. Like what are the best gold nuggets or dollops of wisdom in the direction of having them get to where they want to go, other than just like practice Tantra and read Jewel in the Lotus and take every single workshop that you offer? Because I would stand behind those 3 at least.
Yeah, so those are good. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is belief, like, what you believe you achieve. So the biggest problem I see with most people, especially to your question, men who are trying to own their sexual power or whatever, is they believe that there's something wrong with them, and they then act out of that. Like, and we've all had, it's a human thing. We've all had experiences of this where, so if I believe that women don't want to go out with me, I'm going to project that, and then they won't. If I think I'm bad in bed, I will perform that way, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the first thing is to interrupt your negative, mindset, or if you have like some part of your brain that's like, so you can't do this and you suck, she's out of your league, that kind of thing. You want to turn that into your cheerleader, saying, go for it, you're amazing, you'd be great, you're awesome at this. And that takes practice. There's deeper like emotional release processes of really clearing out old patterns and so forth. And that's a little bit more involved, but I mean, that's what the workshop is for. Yeah. And then just to practice, like one of the cool techniques that I think is fundamental to like really tapping into the higher mysteries of Tantra is to learn how to move the energy up your spine instead of out your genitalia. And this actually works for both men and women or bodied people, is that you are literally breathing like the energy up, and you can do like any kind of transmutation breath, the Mula Bandha, we teach the Cobra breath, etc. But you're basically, clenching your pelvic floor and then breathing up and visualizing energy moving up your spine. And with practice, it usually takes about 3 months, you're able to start having full body, powerful orgasms without leaking your energy out of your genitals. And so the great part of that is that then you can start building and building and building the energy. It just keeps growing and growing. And when all this energy is flowing through your body, and it actually clears out and opens up your chakras, and it really accelerates all these other magical things that happen. Yeah, and then just practice. Here, I'll give you a quick tip. I don't even know if this is Tantra as much as it's like from my personal development world.
Just the tip, though. Just the tip.
Just the tip. Yeah, so, what we focus on grows, right? And one of the things that I did, one of the big ways to change is like consistency over time. And one of the things I did was I was so focused on work and whatever that I wouldn't even notice attractive women around me. And again, had a lot of resistance and fear around rejection and didn't want to ask women out. So I basically started by just in my journal or planner, I would give myself a point, like I just give myself a check mark every time I noticed a pretty person or pretty woman. And so I started doing that, and I'd said I 3 times a week I have to notice someone attractive. And then I would say, okay, now I've got to talk to, and maybe I give myself more points or change the game. But then I was like, okay, 3 times a week I have to actually talk to a woman. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to ask for no's. I'm going to ask people on a date, but just to take some of the pressure off and, make it easier, I said, I'm just going to get 3 no's a week. And I did that. And then I got really good at that. And I said, okay, now I've got to actually start getting yeses. And so then I started literally every time I got a yes for a coffee or, something, lunch or whatever, I'd give myself a check. And then I was getting to 3 yeses a week. And it was actually at a wedding where I was it was the end of the week, and I had 2 yeses. Said, oh, dang, I got to ask another girl out. Oh, she's cute. I'll go ask her. Asked her to dance, and which counted. And then she became my wife, and I had an amazing decade. So I was literally playing this little game with myself when I found my partner. And now it's become so internal. It's just my normal way of being that it's just becomes my new norm. And so I had in the last half of the year or last couple of months of the year, I had 60 dates in 60 days, which is a little too many, by the way. I'm back, but it's, I'm pretty good at, attracting and asking people out now. And it makes, it's like, I don't even know. Sometimes I look at myself and go, wow, it's hard for me to even remember what I used to be like,
Totally. So this speaks to a lot of things. I don't want to cut you off though. You good?
I like this to be interactive versus me one big monologue.
For sure. I learned that early on in podcasting. I was like, when I say interview, I mean conversation where I'm going to be asking lots of questions, but also talk. Took me some time to learn. So man, I love all of that, because gamification, which is what you're talking about, points for success in certain direction. That's a huge piece of what we do in Make Love Easy. And you really refined it. I've learned a lot just now from that. And it's so funny because success is structural, like Chris Duncan says. You just created a structure where you rewarded yourself for the behaviors. What were your rewards, by the way? Like, were your rewards the dates themselves, or like sex, or?
Yeah. So, fundamentally, it just starts with the rewards of noticing, give myself a check mark. I mean, that's why video games are so successful. It's like you get a like on Facebook, or you get like a whatever, like any little achievement, it starts training our brain, it's biofeedback and so forth. So, and then, I think on top of that, you can layer it with other rewards. So I take myself out to dinner at a nice place, or certainly the dates were rewards in themselves when I got to that stage. And then you could also negatively incentivize yourself, meaning like if I didn't do like talk to 3 girls a week or whatever, I like clean my bathroom or do something, extra wise that is not really exciting and rewarding for me, but something that probably is useful for my life anyway. So I would say on that thing too, reward yourself with, or punish yourself with something that is also alignment with your goals. Like, someone else is like, I'm going to eat a dessert every time I do XYZ, like a Sunday. It's like, that's great, but it countered their health goals, which was, eat less sugar. So, just saying, be consistent with what you want. And be really clear on who you are and what you want. And I'll just share that too, is like the biggest single thing that has enabled me to attract and create love in my life now is that I love myself. And even in the last couple of years, I've had some really big breakthroughs in that. And when I really love myself, I'm not talking about narcissism, I'm just talking about, really seeing that I'm a divine being and that there's, nothing wrong with me. And most of us are conditioned from, a young age to think that there is something wrong with us. That when I love myself, other people love me. And it's, and I become very attractive to people. That sometimes surprises me, but it's like, not too much of a surprise, because I think I'm a great guy, So that's the key. And there's lots of different practices into self-love as well, but that's probably the number one thing. And I think that's really our journey to self-love is the main reason we're here as humans. That's what we're here to do. And if we really get that down, everything else in life is gravy.
Oh, you've opened up so many pathways here. So would you say becoming tantric has made you more attractive, or actually no, activating your tantric potential that I am sure you would agree everyone has? Like you've spent some work, time, and practice on that.
Yeah. And I mean, what is Tantra? So it's like I practice loving connection every day. And so that makes me more connected and loving every day. And so these simple practices, either it's like awareness or just training my brain, or it's breathing energy up my body and like, activating my neural network, or it's just surrounding myself with supportive friends, or manifesting miracles, using the power of love. It's like all these things are increasingly improving my life. And and then, like I'm a more energized, healthier, vibrant being. And like, if you're, you can also talk in metaphysics and realms of vibration and frequency. And I am vibrating at a higher frequency than I was before, which is attracting higher vibration experiences and people into my life. And so, and then I'm better at love. I mean, I went from premature ejaculation to now I'm semi-famous for having 12-hour orgasms, and I'll, and it's like, I'm not even talking about, I'm not even talking about having sex for 12 hours. I'm talking about actually being in an orgasmic state continuously for 12 hours and just writing how orgasmic you want to be, or having an orgasm from a hug or whatever. Like, those are some of my 2 biggest videos that went viral and whatnot, but it's like, it's a whole nother world, it really is. There's so much available. Like, when people ask me like, how many orgasms can you have? It's like, you mean what types or how long? Or, it becomes a like, there's like dozens of ways, if not hundreds of ways for orgasm. And there's like, it's like I want to live an orgasmic life. One of the goals is to be able to just be in a constant state of orgasm, which is kind of mind blowing. But it's like when you're in a constant state of orgasm, not only do you have fun, but the people around you have more fun too. So it's crazy. It's people, I would not even be able to comprehend and understand what I'm talking about right now, the old me. And it's so, forgive me if I sound crazy, but my invitation is just start with something simple, see for yourself what opens up, and take the 69-day challenge, which we just launched, which is like really simple, easy steps to do that we layer every day. Just a few minutes a day, you can start having a taste of what tantric lifestyle will be.
And to reinforce that, y'all, I did the level 1 Cobra breath training with Scottio in 2014, and it was revolutionary for me. Like, it definitely shifted how I experienced myself in sex and relationships, and gave me a capacity to last longer, have more fulfillment, cultivate more intimacy. And then when it came time to do a 90-day sex and date and relationship fast, that was my pathway to success. Was like, I was cobra breathing every single day, like 3 or 4 times. And then I was like, the pattern of compulsive sort of addiction and like being stuck with sex, like, oh, I need to have it and I have to, like, it dissipated, and there was like a certain measure of spiritual peace. And then when I talk about, he should probably be on to have his own podcast with you, because the ways in which he has blossomed in life, in relationship, in business, he's constantly sharing. We're constantly mentioning you to our people, seeding the offer for your work, because your work is amazing and we wouldn't be who we are without it. So yeah, I'll just bookmark that. That's a teaser trailer for Artemis talking about his stuff. His full body orgasms, the hours of massage and all this stuff from someone well, anyway, I can't talk about his stories. But yeah. So anyway, my next question for you is, there are some quarters of the spiritual or transformational world that kind of give kickback or side eye on Tantra. And there's one dear friend who I really respect, who makes fun of what he calls the flower pussies, the women who are dressing in almost nothing in order to extract attention and significance from men through being embodied in a sexual way. And there's this whole road, and there's also articles and conversations around Tantra teachers, men especially, unregulated in their ego and sort of engaging in what we call in Earthwaking transformation for evil, where the tools and the technologies of the practices then get in service of an ego that's just kind of, on some level, to some extent, trying to fulfill its own needs and desires, and being somewhat underhanded or secretive. And like, pleasure is powerful. And I agree with you in your workshops. It's much more valuable and fun to learn through pleasure than through pain. Like, if you have that option, why wouldn't you? And at the same time, there's like this danger of like spiritually bypassing or going numb or going apathetic through pleasure, or like developing kind of a new sort of spiritualized addiction compulsion. And I'm curious, how have you dealt with any measure of that, if you've seen it in yourself or your community? Does this make sense, what I'm asking?
Yeah, I hear you. And I think in any spiritual practice, even personal development practice, when people are experiencing these highs for the first time, or they're discovering like this whole new breakthrough in their lives, it's pretty natural for folks to go, wow, this is the thing I've been looking for. And people get excited about that. And you look in any spiritual or even personal development practice, and there's incidences of where people also get carried away with their ego. It's like, man, look at all this transformation I'm doing, I must be amazing. And their ego carries them off, and then they and then with Tantra, it's especially addictive with sex, and and there's power dynamics, and there's it gets really tricky too, because with Tantra, just like with psychology, you are delving into people's shadows, and the people are becoming very vulnerable, and so you have to be really careful to treat with the respect, to really when you're uncovering people's traumas and stuff, when you're healing that, you have to be really careful not to re-traumatize, or to that's why, like with psychologists, you're not allowed to date your patients, for instance, right? And that it's a little murkier in the Tantra world, because there are some Tantra schools that believe that the best way to teach Tantra is by making love with the Tantrika, and that's actually classic, like thousands of years old, and some people continue that tradition. And that's also been kind of changed into like basically some people that are like prostitutes saying they're doing Tantra, but actually don't really know it's not really Tantra. So personally, what I do is I separate the two a bit. Like when I have a workshop or something, I make a mandatory 30-day rule for myself and the staff that there's no new sexual relationships or business relationships, something to not take advantage of that power dynamic. And I personally actually usually wait a lot longer than 30 days. I really want to make sure that if I am pursuing romance with someone, that they're looking at me as an equal, or that there's, and some people are of the philosophy that I've had one teacher say, once you're a Tantra teacher, you can't have sex with anyone, because you're always going to have the power dynamic. And I don't quite subscribe that, because I also am a champion of love, and I'm a believer in sovereignty, and that I think that we are divine beings here for love. And so who am I to tell other people who they can and can't have love with? But I also want to create a safe space. But the real key here is when you talk about spiritual bypassing, the real work of Tantra, and what a lot of people shy away from, is the fear and the uncomfortableness of diving into your shadow. And this is so when you're, in order to have, in my opinion, these miraculous experiences where you're really connecting with the divine, to get there, what it takes is clearing out stuck energies, its old stories, its old programs. And a lot of time, what you need to do in an emotional release process is to go in and face your biggest fears, to feel your rejection. Like for me, one of my biggest breakthroughs in love and loving myself, which just happened 2 years ago, was I got to go into my biggest, deepest, darkest fear of being unlovable, and fully feeling that and experiencing that and getting it out of my neurological system. But I had to, it took all my courage and all my training of like 27 years or whatever, or I guess 25 at the time, to really delve into and go there. Because most people don't go there. Most people are very comfortable with their mediocrity, and they don't want, it's terrifying for change. And we're most terrified of being our greatest selves. So we will make up reasons, excuses, bypass all that stuff. So the key is fully feeling your feelings. That's, in my opinion, the true path of a Tantrika. So when you have emotions that maybe aren't so comfortable coming up, the goal is to fully feel them and release them, knowing that you're a divine being. So you don't want to feel it reinforcing your old story. Like if my story is I'm a worthless piece of shit, I don't want to feel that and then just reinforce it and make it true. It's like, no. I'm feeling what it was like to be that way, knowing that I'm a divine being, but I'm still clearing it out of my system. So that's where the rubber meets the road. I see in a lot of tantrikas, there's a lot of like, we'll say new age or whatever tantrikas that just love the sexy parts or the rituals and the trappings and so forth, which is beautiful and lovely. And if you really want to grow, if you really want to love yourself, connect more deeply with the divine, it takes some work to really go into those scary parts, face it, clear it, and heal it. And then you just got to be careful, because as a Tantra teacher, like my responsibility is also creating a safe community. It's about making sure that people are not being re-traumatized. I think one of the things that I do love that I'm seeing is increasing training and focus on trauma, being trauma informed. And that's something that I'm actively doing myself continuously. I'm also getting my students and especially my staff and other teachers to do. So that's one thing that I do see this changing, is people becoming more trauma informed, because that's a real thing. And most of us have trauma, even if it hasn't been something major like being sexually violated or something, which a large number of us have experienced. Even, it sounds crazy, but even like not getting a cookie when you're a kid or something, you make up that I'm bad or whatever, that can actually be something you need to clear. And so we all, as human beings, have trauma, and we all get to heal and clear that and our path to loving ourselves. And so I think, does that answer your question?
Well, 100%, it does. It opens so much more, and I can already say, honestly, if you want to come back, there's so many different things we could talk about in the future. So you're officially invited and welcome back. Yeah, I love that. I really acknowledge and appreciate you, because like the depth of sensitivity and alignment and awareness that you possess, that you've cultivated, that you've worked to retain, really is not something that I see everywhere. And it is a tricky space, especially when, and this is going to go a different direction. There was a story you told me last year. This really great, where you were out at a festival, and there was this woman who like pursued you actively, like you just didn't even know her, and she was like, hey, I've heard about you or something, and I want to date you, and like that kind of sexual alignment and power, like some men would have used that, and I've seen you like really be sensitive and intentional. Now that I've said that, though, how do you cultivate that level of attractiveness in the world to where women are actually throwing themselves at you? Like that's not something we hear about every day.
Yeah. So ironically, the more discerning I am with my love life, the more I say no. For some people, the more that makes me trust, like people can trust my yes, right? So so people, I think, see that. It really fundamentally goes back to self-love. The more I love myself, the more I attract people who love me. You know, I'm pretty bold, you know, like after practicing talking to people, like I can pretty much talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I now notice beauty, and I notice a connection, and I feel like the connection, the energetic, polarity, or the charge with other people, and sometimes they can feel that with me. In fact, I've had to learn to sometimes mitigate my energy, or when I open up my heart and I with someone else who's open-hearted, there's like an electrical charge. There's like actual, energetic vibrations, or even orgasmic experiences that are possible just in that moment. And so I've actually had to learn to tune in to like, if that's appropriate or not. And actually I try not to ever close my energy, but I can like tone it down, or just make it pure loving versus sexual or whatever. So like, so I get to be responsible with my energy, which is another thing people don't really talk about, is what are your energetic boundaries and, all that. So making myself safe, loving myself, and then not being, here's the part too, is that not being attached to the results, not being needy is really key. Like, and it goes back to knowing what I want and being able to say no. Like, I'm actually quite discerning with who I go into relationships with. I'm looking for someone that can really match me on a lot of levels. And so these days I have women regularly, they want to have sex with me, and I'm saying, no, thank you. And which the old me would have been like, all sex is good sex, but that's not necessarily my experience anymore. And so, yeah. And then I guess also reputation, I have to say, helps a little bit. Like, being known as an exceptional lover doesn't hurt, and like being a worldwide talker teacher helps too. But I think people tend to believe that has a bigger impact than it does, because, for instance, like I've been teaching just as much like a couple of years ago that I am now. And like I've noticed a significant shift just in the last 2 years. And the main thing that's changed has literally just been me loving myself. So I go back to that. It's like, it's pretty simple. The more I love myself, like fully accept and appreciate exactly who I am, then the more I attract people who appreciate me. Also, the more I attract high quality people that also love themselves. And that's a big key too. I think a lot of what I see in relationships that doesn't work as well is like consensual codependence, which I had. Like I was codependent for many years. And like, so getting out of that and really being comfortably interdependent is a much more powerful way to be. And yeah, not making my happiness rely on anyone else, but being internally happy is key too. And then I'll attract other people that fit me there and want to play with me there. So,
oh, congratulations again, by the way. I know you're 2 years in roughly to a stepping away from some of these patterns that you're distinguishing, and I've had the real honor of being a witness to your path in that regard. And yeah, it leads me in another direction. I think we'll close on how to best love yourself, because I think that's, I mean, obviously the core here. And
yeah. I just want to say one last thing there is that I also continuously improve myself. I've been doing Tantra for 27 years. I've done 10 years of personal development, if not more, where I really focus on that. And I see a lot of teachers getting comfortable with their thing and they just do their thing over and over, which is great. I'm not against that. But I mean, my greatest breakthroughs are still to come. I am continuously I'm really delving into trauma training right now. I'm really seeing how can I improve? How can I grow? How can I be the best I can be? And I think that spirit of continuously improving, and with the relationships, like when a relationship is not just like, once I find it, then I can relax into it. And it's like, no, how can I continuously grow this? How can I continuously improve it? How can I, and Tantra is great at keeping relationships fresh and zesty and new. And so continuously focusing on making and playing with newness and growth is another key, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, 100%. I mean, why settle for anything less than your best of what's available? I consider transformation, self-development to be a psychedelic adventure that never ends and always unfolds at ever deeper levels and is totally worth it. Hence the Doctor Who shirt. Also in service of the cosmic adventures that you've had. So yeah, there's one thing that we've spoken on before that I'm really curious about, and I want to hear sort of the interplay between these two facets. And I'll tell a quick story. I'm in a more or less open relating situation with my partner who I love, who I'd love to introduce you to at some point. She's amazing. We came upon this situation where a woman was publicly asking for orgasmic meditation partners, which is this sexual, spiritually oriented practice. And I said, all right, I'm interested in this. And we started to develop kind of a conversation for a container. And my partner went through a lot at that point, because for most of our life and open relating so far in the past year, it was more of a potential and less of a, like, we're actively doing this thing. And as I got to know this new woman more and more, I started seeing and distinguishing more and more shadow. And eventually I realized, oh, she doesn't realize it, but she's using orgasmic meditation to extort significance and attention from the men who are choosing to stroke her pussy. It isn't just consciously her prioritizing her own pleasure. She's still got this emotional dynamic of codependence in the background, which is precisely consciously why she was trying to use orgasmic meditation, to stop the people pleasing, at least in the bedroom. But she was still people pleasing with me, and even activated people pleasing tendencies in me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Ho'oponopono, because I was acting like I needed you. And there was an upset and I didn't realize that was still available. So long story short, it threw me for a loop, because I started looking at, I was like, Lewis, if you could choose to be with somebody who's got codependent tendencies or someone who doesn't, obviously the choice would be someone who doesn't. So that was a standard that I hadn't set and hadn't been holding myself to in relationship or in sexual partner. And then, like, looking at my own tendency to go all in with being really loving and nurturing to partners who I have sex with. Like I go back to 2015 and I would connect with these women on Tinder and they'd think it was just casual, but I would open my heart and then the ghosting would be doubly painful because like, oh God, I really love and am here to give to this person. And I think it's just like as an 8 of hearts in Egyptian astrology, like my gift is to nuke people with love and attention. My vice is to do it with the wrong person or to do it outside of the right contexts. So I'm in the conversation and the inquiry for developing that really solid sense of boundaries and standards for measuring a woman before she gets to have the gift and the privilege, honestly, of my love and my sex. And not speaking from arrogance, but speaking from like self-love and self-respect. Because if I don't do it in a way that's aligned, I'll immediately have negative karma and it will hurt. So that's one piece. I'm curious what you'd have to say and reflect on that. And then there's the other side, which I've heard from you, which I love, is that you've so refined and so raised your energy in your body that you have this capacity to recycle and transmute stuff that you see coming up, the heaviness in your partners while you're having sex with them. And it's tricky because I want that skill because maybe I could have more sex. Like I am really sensitive in human design, like my lower chakras are like open. So I take on very easily what I am experiencing from my partners. And so I have to go through a process of like shaking myself loose after sex, even with my current partner. And I love her dearly, right? She's growing and she's got her own stuff that she's moving through. And so like how to cultivate that at the same time, this sort of sexual energetic resilience with your energy. Does that make sense? Or was that too
Sure.
big?
Those are two big topics. Like we could probably do a whole nother segment on those, but let me sure.
Well, we've got 10 minutes. So
Okay, great. All right. So let's see. The first one, let's talk about rejection for a second. Like it's kind of funny. I've been watching some of these dating shows on Netflix, kind of like research to help me understand how mainstream people think, because I'm so in my own world. It's like, it's hard for me to relate sometimes. And I see them getting upset when they like go on a date with someone else and they take it very personally. And I have been in the practice, and this kind of ties back into self-love, of compersion. And it's something that we kind of have to unwind because our culture teaches this that jealousy is love. It has to look a certain way. When someone says no to me, it somehow should hurt, versus, celebrating them saying yes to themselves. And so when you said, how do I, I'm more careful about who I choose before I put myself out there to get hurt. Sure, being more discerning, slowing down, it's all very useful. I think people can always go slower. I mean, I was recently in a relationship where I dated for 4 months before we even kissed. That was really slow for even me, but I thought it was a great experiment. I personally have an anxious attachment style, and I'm getting more secure all the time. But that's, for people to understand that, it's like when someone ghosts me and I really like am pouring my love into them, like you're talking about, you're like, oh, it's like, what's wrong with me and why don't they do that? And I'm actually gotten to the point where I actually love that now, because it gives me the opportunity to heal that into being secure. And so these days, if someone that I really love or like or want to get to know better, and I make an invitation and they reject me or ghost me or whatever, it doesn't bother me anymore. So that's really the key, is unwinding our own triggers. Like once I'm not triggerable, then I become safe. And then women in particular, but all people, can feel that they can unleash because also the feminine energy can be like, dynamic. And, and so one of my, I guess, gifts is being able to hold space for the radical ups and downs and the emotions. And sometimes people will test you too. Like, can you really hold me? Like before they trust you, they want to sometimes do stuff that they think is going to push your buttons just to see if you can handle it. It's like, can you handle the truth? And so the less triggerable I am, the safer people feel. And then it doesn't, and it's not personal. Like when someone says, no, I don't want to go out with you, I automatically default into not that there's something wrong with me or that, which is what most of us tend to do, what I used to do. But now I go into, great, well, let me know how, I can support you with whoever you want to be with. And maybe one day you'll be ready for the Scottio, it's, okay. So we live out of our interpretations. And our interpretations are what we manifest. And if in most of the time they're wrong, like 80% of the time, our interpretations are wrong. So why not live out of interpretations that are rewarding or forwarding? So what I mean by that is like, I kind of made up many years ago that all people want to go out with me. And I live out of that come from, I'm not saying I do listen to no's. I honor people's no's. I'm not saying that, but if someone gives me a no, I basically come from the perspective, oh, well, they just don't know me yet, or they aren't ready for me yet, or they're going through something, which is great. But it's not about me. It's like I don't go to, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. I'm not good enough. I'm bad. I'm wrong, which is where most of us have been trained. And I believed I was unlovable, but I've unwound that. And so that's key. So when people, like, I love my friends to go out with my friends. I'm kind of very poly-minded now, and I live out of compersion. So like when people are having joy, it doesn't matter if it's joy with me or not. It's like, if they're having joy, I get to feel their joy. And when you really tap in from a Tantra perspective, it gets kind of crazy, because I can go to like a party where people are all having sex with each other, and I can feel other people's orgasms as if I were that person sometimes, without touching or even necessarily having a physical connection with them, which makes me really poly, so.
Yeah, compersion has direct physical benefits for you, or the cultivation.
Yeah. It's like it goes beyond. Tantra allows compersion to go beyond the intellectual into the physiological. Like literally, I can. And again, I can't do this with everyone, but if someone is really open energetically, if we have a connection already, I can sometimes read their minds, feel their feelings, feel their orgasmic energy, and as if it was them, even if I'm in the other room. And so it's really crazy. So it's like, so who cares which genitalia is and what genitalia when I'm feeling it all anyway, which is maybe more pansexual as well. So that's that question. The other question was, remind me, like how to cultivate the sexual energy, or transmutation, right?
Yes, transmutation.
So
sexual resilience, energetically. Yeah.
Part of that, the good part of it is it just starts happening automatically. It's like, it's not something that I consciously tried to transmute. I mean, now I sometimes do like exorcisms and stuff, which is a whole other conversation. But it's like, what I just believe, discovered, if you will, is that energy has a divine intelligence of its own. Like, I really believe there's something higher intelligence of love that is supporting us. And I get evidence and proof and miracles of that all the time. Too many statistically impossible stuff happening all the time. That's like, it's a miracle. And so my goal is just to open my heart, fully feel my feelings, and allow energy to flow through me. I don't hold on to energy. So when energy comes in, I just have it come through me. And if it's something like uncomfortable, let's say negative, or whatever people classify as negative, let's say it's sadness or rage or trauma or whatever, I just bring it in my heart and I send it into the earth. So I just make myself a conduit, or I do the reverse and I'm sending it through me up into the sky or something. But I'm just moving energy, and that has profound effects. And when I really open myself up like that, I can feel people's feelings. I can go sometimes in the past life, I can go with their trauma, I can go into all sorts of stuff. The key is I don't hold on to it. I just like let it move through me and past me. And it allows them sometimes to heal that with themselves. And it allows me to heal myself. I mean, that's the beauty of it. And I think that we're healing the collective, zeitgeist, or we're going to call it. So I think we're healing the planet when we're doing this stuff. So it goes back to fully feeling my feelings, just trusting the process. And like, I never came out with the intention to necessarily even be a healer per se. I'm just being me, and I'm just opening my heart, and I'm just feeling, and it becomes more and more healing. And now I think of myself as like a spiritual teacher somehow. But I just got this because I want to be better and not be a premature ejaculator. That's the beauty of Tantra too, is this is a path that the more you do it, the more it opens up to realms you didn't even know existed. It gets more magical, it gets more amazing all the time. And I don't see an end in sight. So I'm not sure if I answered your question. That's what
Yeah, definitely giving much deeper, richer context around all of it. So in our last 3 minutes, I've got 3 simple questions for you. Easy to answer. Would you say yes or no? Would you say Tantra is an amazing path of self-love, like cultivating that love?
The most powerful there is.
Awesome. So that answers our how to love yourself question from earlier. Number 2, well, actually, I'll just both questions. Where does your name come from? Because I know it has a lot to do with your dharma and your life mission. And then where can people find you and get more of you?
So Scottio O, the O I added because it stands for orgasmic oneness, or using the power of love to bring harmony to each other and our planet. And it's so every time someone says my name, it reminds me of what my purpose is. There's other things, it's a mantra and some other stuff, but it came about when my lover was screaming my name. But the point is that it's yeah, that's kind of what I go by. It also helps distinguish me from all the other Scotts or Scotties out there. And then, yeah, if you want to reach me, check out ecstatichearts.com. You can also look at 69daychallenge.com, which you can jump on right now. We're kind of rebranding a little bit. We're creating a global portal. Yeah, and our next Tantra One weekend, as you mentioned, is April 7th through 9th. And I also am taking on a few private lesson clients on my next. So if any of that's of interest, come check it out. Ecstatichearts.com is key. And I'd love to meet new people and connect. So check us out. And we have an amazing, vibrant community too. So if you don't like me, great. Come check out the rest of the amazing people.
I like you. I think most people are going to like you. It's hard not to like. It's hard not to love you, sir. So speaking of, thank you so much for being here. Such an honor, such a privilege, such a pleasure, always. And looking forward to more. And please, y'all, follow Scottio, check his stuff out. And feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You get the final word, sir, for this one.
Final word. Thank you, Lewis. I appreciate you, friend, and always cheering me on and being a role model in your own way and helping spread love. I'll say this. The last thing I'll say is it's going to take each of us using our own unique skills and gifts to really transform this world into the new loving reality that we're manifesting. And so whoever you are, whatever you're doing, like just follow your heart, and we're going to make this world amazing. And I think in our lifetime, we're going to transform this planet into something beyond our wildest dreams.
Amen, amen, and amen. Raise your vibe, feel your feelings, heal your heart, practice Tantra, love yourself, and have such a beautiful day, y'all.